Good everyone, it's Steve from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. And for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my top 10 performance basketball shoes of 2022. Get into number 10 for my top 10 performance basketball shoes of 2022. You do have the Zion 2. As far as materials go on this shoe, it's probably the best on the list. The use of all the suede and nubuck and mesh, and some of the colorways have really nice leather. The traction on this shoe was amazing. The cushion was pretty good. You did have that air strobel unit in the back and Zoom Air in the forefoot. But my only real gripe with this shoe was this back ankle collar. It dug into my Achilles tendon to the point where I had to take about 2 weeks off of performance testing this shoe, my first and second time. So this shoe did take some time to break in. It did get a little bit better over time, but the main reason it's at number 10 is because of that back portion that dug in. This shoe for you doesn't cause that issue. It has a ton of support features, great cushioning, again, the best materials on this list bar none, and it's a great looking basketball shoe here in 2022. So at number 9 on my list, you do have the Jordan Luca 1. Luka Doncic is an amazing basketball player. He just dropped, I think it was 60 points the other night. His signature shoe is one of the best, obviously making the top 10 list for me, but coming in at number 9, the only reason it's so high up on the list is because the cushioning for me, the Formula 23, was a bit of a letdown. It's really nothing special at all, and it just kind of feels dead, honestly. But the traction on the bottom of the shoe, the upper, the support features, the lightweight nature, and then just the overall price point at $110, you really can't go wrong. So this is definitely a budget-friendly shoe. But again, for me, the traction was just on point in this shoe. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly shoe, the Luka Doncic 1 is a great option, and I've seen it on sale for about 25% off right now. So coming in at number 8 on my top 10 list, I have the Nike Zoom GT Jump. This shoe, as far as cushioning goes, is one of my favorite of the year. You do have that full-length Zoom strobel, and then the oversized bag in the heel. You can see it here over on the medial side, and then a second Zoom Air bag right here as well, covering the whole forefoot of the shoe. Obviously, the traction being full-length herringbone is amazing. The support features on this shoe are absolutely crazy as well. You do kind of have this see-through upper here, and it is a high top shoe. So I know in 2022, a ton of people like playing in low tops, but for me, this was a fantastic performer on court. It is a little bit narrow, so it did take some time to break in the forefoot, and I can see why some people would want to go up half a size. But right now on eBay, you can pick these up for under $100. So I'm sitting at 4 pairs of the Nike Zoom GT Jump, and even to today. If I'm looking for a shoe that has max cushioning, I am grabbing the Nike Zoom GT Jump every time. Let me know where this would sit on your list, but for me, it's coming in at number 8. So coming in at number 7, I do have a tie. I will start with the Air Jordan 37s. Obviously, the Air Jordan 37 was controversial when there was a player on the Boston Celtics, I believe, that did blow out the upper. The shoe just kind of disintegrated off of his foot, but luckily for me, I did not have that issue. The utilization of the Formula 23 with this heel puck, over time, it got a lot nicer than the Luca 1s. It got a lot softer, which was definitely nice. And then obviously this forefoot has the Zoom strobel in the forefoot, and it's double stacked as well with a full-length bag across the side. So the cushioning in this shoe is fantastic. The traction was amazing. The support features with the carbon fiber shank plate, the Leno weave upper with all of those new strands kind of crossing the Leno weave. This shoe is making it to number 7 on my list. Obviously, it's a very controversial shoe and a very expensive shoe, coming in at around $180. But the Air Jordan 37 for me was a great performer, so that's why it makes it to number 7 on my top 10 list. And then tied with the Air Jordan 37, for me at least, was the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2. Obviously, the GT Cut 1 garnered a ton of attention. It played very similar to a bunch of the drop-in midsole Kobe shoes. And here with the Zoom GT Cut 2s, for me, it just did not perform as good as the ones, but it still was a great performer. The traction on the bottom is super aggressive with that really thick and wide herringbone in the forefoot. The cushioning, you do have that drop-in midsole, Cushlon midsole, and then it's full-length Zoom underneath that. And then actually in the drop-in midsole, you have a little hex bag as well. So the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2 was a pretty good basketball shoe. The biggest gripe for me was this tongue, as it was not attached to the upper. So while playing in the shoe, I did have it kind of folding over to the side sometimes, so it was a little bit annoying. But for me, the Nike Zoom GT Cut 2 is still a really good option here in 2022 going into 2023. Let me know what you guys think of this model. So coming in at number 6 on my top 10 list for 2022, you do have the MBO2s. This colorway here is absolutely amazing. It's the Nickelodeon Slime colorway. Obviously, I did a review on this not long ago, but as far as the performance aspects of the shoe, the traction again, the translucent rubber Puma is using is top notch. The cushioning system with that nitro infused foam, and then having that heel and forefoot pucks, they're just fantastic. There's a ton of compression compared to the MBO ones. The upper is a lot thinner. It does take some time to break in. So I have been getting a ton of comments with people saying I played in it once and the upper is just very restrictive. Give it some time, it does break in nicely. The support features with the internal and external heel counter and just this wing on the side and the midfoot shank plate makes this shoe a very supportive shoe and one of the best basketball shoes here in 2022. One more thing I will touch on is the overall price point, coming in at around 120 or 130 USD, depending on the colorways, and around 150 to 60 here in Canada. So the price point is great. It is a signature shoe, and Puma has a great thing going with the LaMelo Ball. Let me know where this would sit on your list, but for me, it makes it to the number 6 spot on my top 10 list of 2022. So coming in at number 5, the Air Jordan 36 Lows. This to this day is just still one of my favorite shoes to play in because of its lightweight nature. Obviously the upper, the Leno Weave upper is basically see-through, very, very breathable as well. The traction on the shoe, the full-length herringbone, can you go wrong with full-length herringbone? You also have that full-length Zoom Strobel, and then you can see the indentation here in the forefoot with the double stacked Zoom in the forefoot. A ton of great support features with the internal heel counter, the shank plate in the midfoot here, and just the overall nature of the shoe, the way it plays on court. It's a perfect, almost a perfect shoe for me in my opinion, but it does hit number 5 on my list. Coming in at number 4 on my list is the Nike KD15s. Now I know a lot of people have had some issues with the heel counter, with heel slip issues. Luckily for me, I have not. I did go with my usual size 10.5 in these, and my toe is right near the end. And honestly, the first hour in this shoe is a little bit painful because it's so tight, but for me, it breaks in over time and feels fantastic. Obviously, with the Nike KD15s, you do have this very aggressive traction pattern, which is almost perfect on court. You do have to wipe every now and then, but other than that, the KD15's traction is top notch. You also have that full-length Zoom Strobel with that Cushlon midsole. It does break in nicely over time. You do have this big support wing on the side that wraps around and to the medial side. And just the overall design cues of the Nike KD15, for me, it's the best in the line as far as the looks go. And all the colorways that they've brought out with the prints on the upper, whether it be the external heel counter or the mesh on the toe box, the materials are nothing special, but just the way this shoe fits my foot and performs on court, it's a very reliable option, and you can catch these on sale right now. So you can catch these for around 25 to 30% off on Nike, and Foot Locker. I've seen them go on sale. So sitting at number 3 on my list is the TwoWay V3s. This shoe is in my gym bag at work, so I don't have it with me, so I will throw up some footage from the performance review. But the fit of this shoe for me was the best on the list. That big oversized N on the lateral side, the way it wraps up to the top of your foot like a burrito wrap, is absolutely amazing. The traction takes a little bit of time to break in, but after that, it's top notch, probably one of the top 2 or 3 on this list. And just the overall cushioning and support features in the TwoWay V3s is top notch. But another great thing about the TwoWay V3s is I've seen this for 40% off online just recently. So if you can catch that sale, I think it's a top notch elite basketball shoe going into 2023. So coming in at number 2 for my top 10 shoes is the Nike PG6. This shoe being $110 is an absolute steal. $145 here in Canada. The traction with all these little nubs, first of all, they're very reliable and very durable. I've been playing in this shoe almost religiously for the past couple months, and it is an elite performer as far as the overall traction goes. You do have to wipe every now and then, but it's very elite. The support features with the internal heel counter, the midfoot shank plate, and the way this rubber cup sole wraps up the side of the shoe is great as well. Again, the React cushioning in this shoe surprised me a ton, because again, I'm not a huge fan of foam only cushioning systems, but Nike absolutely knocked it out of the park with the PG6. The lockdown's great. The materials are pretty cheap, but they break in super quick. And this external heel counter, all of this padding in the heel is just cloud-like. So the Nike PG6 makes it to the number 2 spot on my top 10 list of 2022. I'm a little unsure where Nike is going with the PG line, because I have been hearing some rumblings that this might be the last signature shoe for Paul George, which would be an absolute tragedy, because the Nike PG6 for me is a top performer here in 2022 and the absolute best in his line thus far. So the number 1 shoe for me in 2022 is the Nike LeBron 20. Now there are 2 things that I'm not a big fan of with this model. Number 1 is that little X stitch on the tongue. I have had a few pairs having that break as soon as you go and pull the laces. So that's number 1. And then number 2 is just the price point. Obviously Nike's not having an issue selling these out pretty easily, but being $200 for a low top basketball shoe in 2022, I think it's a bit of a reach. I think these should have retailed for about 170 to 185 USD. I think it would have been a more affordable price tag. Even then, that's very expensive, but being $200, $260 here in Canada, it's absolutely crazy. But these also perform absolutely crazy on court. Translucent outsole on this pair actually performs a lot better than the red ones. And the solid red outsole pair performs almost perfect. But this one is just a bit more tacky. It does collect some dust, but a quick wipe is all you'll need. Moving up, you do have that Cushlon midsole. Again, it's very cloud-like underfoot. You do have a heel and forefoot zoom airbag embedded within the midsole. So again, the cushioning is great. Up front, you do have some court feel, something the LeBron line has been lacking for many years. The upper on this shoe is a mesh upper. It's almost like a basket weave. It's very thin, pretty breathable, and just very supportive all the way around. You do have some nice premium touches with some leather on the heel tab and on the tongue, and just the overall design aspects of this shoe is flawless in my opinion. For me, it's the best looking LeBron shoe to date, because a ton of players can play in this shoe, whether you're a point guard or all the way up to a center. There's enough support features within this shoe, with the external heel counter, this guardrail here that wraps up just ever so slightly, and that carbon fiber shank plate offering some great torsional rigidity. The Nike LeBron 20 for me is an elite performer, and it's a shoe that I'm looking to pick up a ton of colorways of, because I can see this shoe being a top performer, for years to come down the road. Let me know where the LeBron 20s sit on your list, but for me, it makes it to the number 1 spot as far as performance basketball shoes in 2022. So that's going to do it for my top 10 performance list for basketball shoes of 2022. Let me know where some of these shoes sit on your list, and have you played in any of these shoes, and how did they perform for you? As always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that helps the channel a ton. Check out my Instagram over on 23MJ88, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. I just wanted to say Happy New Year to everyone. We will see you in 2023 with a ton of performance basketball videos over in 2023. But if you guys want to check out any of these videos as far as the performance reviews, I will put links down in the description for all of the top 10 shoes that made it into my list for 2022. But until next time, peace.